what I wanted to start with was this. We're not going to start with what is AI. I hope we're past that. But yes, there is a recording that will be available for anybody who needs it, and like the 30 other people that emailed me that they couldn't make it today. So I want to start with this question, Dan. I'm curious, from your perspective, when you are sitting down to a specific project, a specific issue, walk me through some of your analysis in terms of which AI platform to start with.
So, I mean, it's an interesting spot in AI right now because the models are brilliant. All of them are brilliant. Like, they're all very comparable in terms of their capability, with the slight exception of Claude Mythos, which isn't even released yet. They're all in the same ballpark in terms of what they can do. And we're actually seeing the intelligence to kind of spread down into local models. I'm getting really nerdy into like local models and running stuff on your own computer and all this stuff. And even cheap local models that you can run on a laptop and theoretically free, are almost as good as some of the frontier enterprise models right now. So at this point, it's not really about the brains. They're all smart. They can all do basically everything. At this point, it's all about the harness. And when I say harness, I mean the software packaging around the model that adds features that makes it do stuff. You're going to start hearing that term harness a lot more often, because when people are talking about harness, they're talking about those that the experience of working with it, all the software around the model that allows it to be useful, the stuff that embeds memories and connections to other tools and stuff like that. So when I'm sitting down to think about, like, all right, what am I going to do for this particular task? It kind of depends on which one has the best harness for the job, for the most part. And like let's say I'm working on a Google project. We use Google Workspace in our firm, and I need to extract some information out of a deed or interpret a will or something like that. And I don't want to read it, and I don't need to read it, or I want to pull all the legal description out of a property deed or something like that. I could pull up lots of different models to do that, but Google Workspace has Gemini so well integrated, and Gemini, one of the things that it is a little bit better at than the others is like reading PDFs and images. It doesn't need to like run a Python library to extract and convert it out of PDF. It just can read images really well. And it can pull that stuff out. And if you're in Google Workspace, all you have to do is right click on your document on your desktop and hit open in Google Drive, and bam, now your document is open in Google and you can start talking with your document. Like, it's very, very easy. So like for those kinds of things, I default to, the model that lives where my stuff lives. Now, that being said, like...
I want to jump on that for a second. I had Dan Pink on my podcast many weeks ago, and so I wanted to send him a gift. And so it was interesting because I went to Gemini and I was like, hey, read the transcript of this and tell me what would make a good gift. And it read the transcript, and it pulled up my email with his assistant who recommended he likes writing utensils, and it researched him. And then it combined all those things into like a very specific answer with a quote verbatim of something that he said. And I was completely blown away by its interactivity throughout the Google platform.
Yeah. And they just leveled that up like within the past couple of days too, because they rolled out what they're calling Workspace Intelligence now. I made a post about it in Legal Tech Collective today, but basically they're turning on agent tools for the workspace. So like if you ask, Gemini in Google Docs, hey, I'm writing a letter to so-and-so, can you pull the case details and then write the letter? It can actually go reach into your Google Drive account, into your Gmail account, into your Sheets account, and pull that information together from a different Google app. Now, you don't have to be logged into Gemini anymore. You can get it from inside of any other Google Workspace app, which I think is awesome. And it's one of the structural advantages that like Google and Microsoft have over everybody else, is that they already have tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people embedded in their software ecosystem. And they're a little slower to the punch because they're this big enterprise thing, this behemoth, but they're starting to integrate those agent tools. What I want to see is like Google having the ability to connect custom connectors. Like, can I connect Workspace Intelligence to, Clio or MyCase or, Filevine or whatever you use to go pull the actual client matter data when writing that template or whatever. And I think that's going to be the next big step for them is bringing in more custom connections. But for now, that's what we got. But it's still pretty powerful. Very cool. Great use case.
Love it. All right. So then moving through into ChatGPT, into Claude, into Perplexity? You know, walk me through some of your analysis there.
I think the most important thing is just is if you're going to use AI, like finding one that you will actually use and stick with and build memory with and enjoy using. You know, at the end of the day, I think what's more important is the consistency of using a tool than it is which one you're using. Because I don't want people to get in the habit of like switching. Oh, I'm going to use, you know, ChatGPT came out with a new feature, and so I'm going to completely switch my whole setup over to ChatGPT. I don't know that that's a healthy way to approach it either. So, but that being said, a lot of this stuff is baked in, and the subscriptions are there. So why don't we look at it? But currently, I will say like ChatGPT is a little bit better at, in my opinion, a little bit better at like deep research. You know, if you ask it a complex question, you say, I need you to, you know, research this complicated tax law issue. It's going to go think for 35 minutes before it comes back and gives you an answer. And that answer is going to be super well documented. I feel like they leverage on like thinking time a little bit more than Gemini and Claude. You might need to turn on the deep think feature specifically to get that behavior out of the other models. But really impressed with the work they've been doing. You know, they just launched managed agents yesterday, similar to Claude. So you can now have Workspace agents inside of your ChatGPT account. But so, you know, and any feature that's missing from one is likely to be added to the others pretty shortly thereafter. Right now, I think Claude as an ecosystem is just ahead, and they are kind of tearing ahead in a lot of respects just because they're shipping every day. Like if you follow them on X, like literally every day or every other day, they are launching like major features because they're using AI, entirely AI development now. They don't do any human coding anymore. So they're just shipping stuff every freaking day. And everybody else is playing a little bit more cautious. So we'll see kind of where that goes. Yeah, the tax lawyer in the chat. Yeah, I mean, you do have to be careful because like the model may or may not have the access to the you know, private letter rulings or whatever it is that would actually give you a good sound advice. But like if you're trying to figure out your way around a research issue, we do it all the time. In our we do a lot of probate, so all of it's based on public statutes. There's no regulations. Case law is few and far between. It's did you follow the statutory rules, which are all publicly available on Google. So very, very good at getting reasonable answers to every kind of question pretty dang fast. Not perfect in every context, but very, very powerful for at least our particular use case. But you know, ChatGPT and Claude in a lot of ways are very, very comparable. So it's really just kind of you know, when you're doing it like for chat or work, it's you know, you're kind of just, it's less about the model and more about what kind of harness are you using in that context. Like now you'll see like if you're trying to do something on your desktop, like let's say I want to write a document and have it saved into the client folder. You know, the only tool that can do that right now would be Claude CoWork because they're the only one with a desktop agent in that way. I mean, you can use Codex through ChatGPT Codex, but it's definitely geared more toward programmers than knowledge workers. But functionally, it is the same thing. It's a desktop agent, but it has a lot more security clearance to your local terminal and stuff like that than Codex does. So,
well, and a lot of times,
I don't know how helpful that is, but
yeah, I think so. For me, I also find myself sometimes using multiple platforms at the same time. So I'll go through, you know, reviewing a document, and then before I'm done, I'll transfer it over to another one, you know, for Gemini and be like, hey, what was it? And it's always funny because sometimes it'll be like, oh, I like how ChatGPT did this. Or other times it's like, oh, I can't believe that it did it this way. And it's funny to see them kind of talk to each other.
Yeah, I use it a lot more when I'm programming. I would say like half my time has been software development lately. But in that context, like I'll have Claude Code and, you know, Codex running in the same terminal, and I'll have them both reading over the code base, and they find different things. Like Claude Code is a bigger picture thinker, at least prior to 4.7. I don't know. I don't have enough experience with it yet to say now, but
do you have a response to Alan's comment in regards to the custom GPT?
Case law summaries has been decent, but goes outside the docs I've handled despite direction to only review my docs. A permanent instruction to let me know when it's not 100% sure helps.
If Tony Stark had a law firm, he'd automate all of it and spend a ton of time at happy hours and Topgolf. It amazes me how often when I'm working with firm owners one-on-one, we create a firm that is supported by them doing less a life that helps them do more, and then tie those things together in a way where they have the success they've always dreamed of. If you're ready to delegate like Batman and lead like Captain America, click the link below and let's talk to see how we can work together to help you achieve the law firm you've always dreamed of.
As to like what, like how to make
There's
it
a way
outside your docs.
Yeah.
Aside from instructions, I mean, there could be I actually don't use custom GPTs, but I would say generally speaking, when you're talking about like how do you keep it focused on your docs, it's going to be only giving it a certain set of docs, having an instruction, and then but beyond that, like I don't know if it's still doing that anyway. I don't know if there's a great solution to say like, hey, don't even rely on your training memory or training materials. I only want you to see what's in this database. If that's still not working, some of it's just the nature of the models. When they don't have a great response, they're going to start producing what sounds like a great response. And that's just, some of that is just the nature of LLMs. They're getting better, but it's probably not perfect yet.
Jeremy, you've got a question?
Yeah. Hey, Dan. Just out of curiosity, so I got 3-4 computers on my desk right now. I'm using CoWork and all kinds of stuff, and I just got a $6,000 laptop that I want to run OpenClaw on because I'm getting frustrated by running into the use limits on Claude, and I'm just wondering how crazy of a thing is that to do? I mean, like I intend to air gap it as we messaged it out, and I'm going to put a hell of a lot of data on there, and I'm going to try to train it and ask it to do things that simply would use up all my daily usage in Claude. And just curious if you have 30 seconds of thoughts on whether that approach is not worth doing because Claude is leaping ahead so quickly that, by the time that I'm able to make anything meaningful, I will just be back to Claude. Maybe under a different pricing model, or how do you feel about a local?
Yeah. So to give a little bit of like background for people who are like, what the hell is he talking about?
This is the topic Dan said he didn't want to share with us because it was too complicated. But
yeah,
we're going there.
I don't know. What do you want to veer into this, Jordan? Or
yeah, just if you can do a quick answer to this, then we'll start prompting the website, and then we'll dive in. So that way we'll get 45 minutes to go through that.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably won't even take more than them. So for people who don't know, OpenClaw is a desktop agent. So what is a desktop agent? It's a harness. In other words, software around a large language model that you install on your local computer. This is different from like ChatGPT or Claude Chat or Gemini in the browser. Those are all cloud LLMs. So what and cloud deployments of the harness. So what I mean by that is the harness, the agent, the chatbot is all living in the cloud computer. It is not on your local computer. It's not running on your local computer. When you use a desktop agent, like you're installing Claude CoWork, that's a desktop agent. You're still using the API for inference, but the software is actually running the harness on your local computer. So that means it can access your terminal. It can run software. It can execute commands that you could. It can do anything in your computer that you can, unless you start putting guardrails around it. OpenClaw hit the world by storm. It is a open source desktop agent. So it's free to run. You don't have to pay anybody. You install it, and then you can bring your own brain. You can put any local or large language model in it that you want, either a local model, or you can use remote APIs. So like if you like Claude, you can bring Claude through OpenClaw and stuff like that. So what OpenClaw does is it gives you kind of a framework for running agents on your computer. It has like a heartbeat system where it'll wake up every so often and do things or whatever you tell it to do. And it has a memory system, and it has connector systems, and it basically creates the scaffolding around the model. Very, very powerful in terms, but it is also can be a security risk to the extent that it has access to your terminal. So if you get hit with like a prompt ejection or some kind of external attack, and the agent decides I'm going to act on that, even though all of my training tells me not to, and all this stuff, it might, find your API keys and send them off to somebody's email address. It can do that. If you give it the permissions and the ability to do that, it can do that. So desktop agents are very powerful. But to your question, Jeremy, no, I don't think it's crazy to run OpenClaw. I feel like everybody should be trying to develop some comprehension of desktop agents. OpenClaw is very popular. Hermes agent is very popular, solves a lot of security problems of OpenClaw. Claude Code is a desktop agent. Just a different harness. It's just Anthropic's proprietary harness instead of an open source harness. So I think everybody should be starting to gain some familiarity with desktop agents because of how ridiculously powerful they are. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you bought a $6,000 laptop, I'm assuming you have tons of RAM, and it's probably like a MacBook M5 something or other. So that computer is going to probably, especially if you bought like 60 or 120 gigs of RAM or something.
Yeah, maxed out.
You can run good local models on that. And by good local models, I mean, like, for example, just yesterday, like with that one, you could probably run even larger, but like just a couple of days ago, like Qwen 3.6, 27 billion came out.
Yeah.
And it is on par with Opus 4.5, which was the best model in the world until February of this year.
Yeah.
The best model in the world until February of this year. And you could only run it from some giant Anthropic corporation through their API, spending a fortune. Now you can run a model that good on Jeremy's laptop, not in a data center, on Jeremy's laptop for free for the cost of electricity. And you can plug it into OpenClaw so that you have a desktop agent that can retain memories and do stuff and connect to your softwares. And that is also super smart. Now that's a nerdy world. Like that's a tech world. You can easily screw stuff up in that world too. But, I could talk about this forever, but so I don't want to blow our whole time necessarily, but.
All right. So you want to wrap that up and then we'll.
Yeah. I mean, it can be safe. It can be done safely. I don't know about I don't know if you need to air gap it. If you air gap it, the problem is it's not gonna be very useful because it won't be able to connect to anything. And most of the advantage of agents is being able to connect. They're not very useful if they connect to your stuff. So it's more about, I would make sure that it's in like a Docker container or whatever. I use Hermes agent, not OpenClaw. So I'm not as familiar with OpenClaw's security protocols. I know they've improved a lot, but make sure it's run in some kind of secure container. Hermes allows you to do a Docker backend, stuff like that.
Thanks and sorry for asking the wrong
question. No, you're right. We should probably connect offline if you want to keep going off of that. But but that's kind of world number 3 that everybody should be aware of. But most people do not need to start worrying about, or do not need to start like feeling like they need to be running OpenClaw, or anything like that right away. It's fun, but and it's very powerful. But I don't know if it's priority number 1 at the moment.
All right. So we have, there's 45 people in here. Somebody's going to get a coded new website. That's something that Dan promised. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to email Dan a number, and then you all are going to drop numbers into the chat. Go once. Try to follow what numbers are in there before you. The first person to get this number is going to be the winner of the website. I will give you a hint. The number is related to something behind me. That's really broad, considering I have a cool bookcase with all random toys and books and stuff. But that's a hint. So it's going to be between 1 and 43. And I emailed it to Dan.
I just realized I have the same. Okay.
All right. But somebody hit it. All right. Erica Orcutt, you got it. So to be honest, I love those of you that picked 42, but 13, Dan Marino, the Dolphin one over there. That was my go. So Erica Orcutt is the winner of the website. So what info do you need from Erica?
Okay. I just need to know Erica Orcutt. All right. So you're an attorney, you do estate planning. So what Jordan's talking about, for anybody that was like watching the kind of pregame posting and stuff like that, what I want to do is I want you guys to be aware. You don't necessarily have to be the person diving into all this stuff, but I want you to be aware of and understand the 3 different kinds of Claude. Today I want to talk about Claude, even though we're kind of flying through time, but I want to talk about Claude specifically because I think there's 3 different versions of Claude. There's Claude Chat, Claude CoWork, and Claude Code. And I want you to be able to understand at least what Claude Code is capable of doing. And so what I'm going to do, Erica, I'm going to, I actually don't need anything else.
Can you
I am
screen
going
share for us so we can watch
pop
this?
out in a one-shot prompt, but it's not bad. Like, I mean, if you're, if you don't have a website or you're trying to replace an existing website with one that's custom coded, and there are like so many advantages to having a custom coded system with Claude Code. It is amazing. Like, 'cause you can have it integrate with your Google Analytics and Google Search and Google Ads and Meta Ads, and just have it like manage your entire site and entire marketing stack for you. It's freaking amazing. But anyway, so if you want to get one launched, you can see how easy that is. Like, it's going through explaining what these different practice areas do. Book a 30-minute call. It's got our office addresses. And remember, I didn't give it anything except for to go research on its own. How do you make changes to a Claude created website? Same way that you launched in the first place. We go back to Claude and we say, hey, I want to make some changes. So, I mean, that would be a fuller tutorial on like how to like self-host applications. But like if we wanted to run this, all we'd have to do is get a hosting provider, because right now this is all just code living on my desktop. So if you wanted to run this in the cloud or run this on a cloud host so that like, users out in the wild could come and see this website, you would just need a cloud host. And I use Railway, which is a cloud compute provider. So it costs like $1 a month, I think, or something like that to run our production website, a couple dollars a month.
I wanted to highlight something that Rachel Huff shared. She said you can look at templates in Figma too and connect it or screenshot designs you like, and then it'll build off of those. So remember, we gave this nothing in terms of looks other than don't make it look like a boring lawyer website with a, slow-mo walking down the courthouse stairs.
Yeah. Right. Oh, here's the journal. Here's the blog. So it put together, look at those cute little, I like the color palette that it came up with, the kind of dark green, light green, orange, tan, kind of earthy feel to it. Interesting font choice.
I like it got really specific on the you moved to Georgia from California. Like that's a very specific blog.
That is a very specific blog. Moved to Georgia from California. That is it's a very long tail keyword right there. Interesting search intent. But then it's definitely leaning into like a lot of the avatar client thing that I talked about. But you can see it like wrote some nice little blogs. Moved to Georgia from California. Your trust may not work the way you think. Interesting stuff like that. So
and that's the Matt's question. That's what Dan said. So just go back to that chat or hosting it separately.
Yeah,
and then have the conversations there.
Got a nice little contact page. Let's see, what did Claude Code actually tell us after it finished? But yeah, it says everything's rendering beautifully. Dan, the server's live at localhost 3000. Got a hero with a floating photo. Palette, forest, terracotta, warm charcoal. Analytics are wired. Injects Google Analytics, Google Ads, and Metapixel from environment variables. So we would have to add the API keys. Shows 3 keys, calibrated Erica's actual. And the thing that's neat is like, I know all this stuff and what all of this means, but you might not. Like if you're trying to like put together a website, all this stuff might be. So Jeff, this is a great question. Like if you need your website to be ADA compliant, like just most people's websites are not. And here's how easy it is to make it ADA compliant. Hey, Claude, will you spin up a sub-agent that researches ADA compliance on law firm websites? And here's what to know about my firm and specifically all the different rules. Do the rules even apply to me? Number one. And if they do apply to me, which pieces need to be adjusted? And what do we need to do to update the website? It will come up with a plan on what needs to be done to update the website. And then you tell it, all right, go ahead and make those changes, please. That's it. That's all you got to do to add ADA compliance to your website. Like the models are they're like genius level intelligent now, and they're some of the best programmers in the world.
Well, and one of the biggest issues with ADA compliance is for blind people getting image information, being able to read to them when they can't see the image. That's how the AI works. So its ability to ADA comply, like it can't see. It is designing an image based upon what it believes is there. So then to fill in the language that led to that image is one of the most common ADA compliance issues.
Yeah. And also very, very easy for the model to add. And add site wide. So like you could be like, what are those called? Like alt text, I think, on images.
Yeah.
Can you Can you make sure everything in the site is compliant for alt text and ADA, whatever? What are the top issues? And, then you just tell it, hey, put together a team of agents to crawl the whole website and make it ADA compliant. And there you go. Like, guarantee you're going to be better than 99% of law firm websites out there in 5 minutes.
And also that alt text is really helpful for SEO because Google bots can't see images. They're crawling the words. So there's ways to really crush this.
Yeah. I mean, this is big stuff for SEOs too. Like another thing that a lot of people don't know about like technical SEO is like your website actually has like hidden like code syntax, like describing your website and like what you actually do and who you are. Or it can have all this stuff. It's called schema markup. And most of the time, small law firms don't have any of this. They don't know what it is. The models can't find it. Their website sucks for SEO because their website doesn't have any of this stuff. And you have to pay SEOs lots of money to get in there and do technical SEO. Now, if you vibe code your website, you just tell Claude, hey, I want to put schema markup all throughout my website so that it'll show up real great in Google Search Console and everywhere. Can you please go do research on schema.org and Google best practices of how to do schema markup? And research me and how you would organize this and ask me questions about my firm so that we can make sure it's all good. And then I want you to put schema markup everywhere. And then boom, you have schema markup all across your website. If you have a current WordPress website, can you have Claude optimize your site? I don't know. I don't believe WordPress has any functional utility in the world anymore. If you're still on WordPress, I feel for you. I'm sorry. But you can replace your WordPress website if you're comfortable talking to Claude a little bit, very, very easily. Now, I don't want to like completely. There are pieces to this like that you have to do correctly, or else it won't work the way you're hoping it will. But it is very, very easy to get this stuff launched. So these are just some of the cool things you can do with Claude Code.
And Kevin, it will definitively give you a list of things to do with your WordPress site to make it rank better, to make it be ADA compliant, whatever. Mm-hmm. The ability for it to specifically do it is going to be limited by any sort of API access to, through Make, to Claude, etc. Dan's talking about like this was coded from scratch. So this is this website in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a more helpful answer. Jordan is absolutely right. That is the problem with WordPress, and the advantage of letting Claude code your website is that when Claude writes the code, it can do anything. Like you can ask it to do anything, like connect anything. Like if I wanted to go back in here and say, formulate me a calculator in some beautiful obscure JavaScript, write a calculator that calculates the state value fees in probate cases or something, and research the rules in Missouri on how to do that, which is where we practice. It can, like on our website, it wrote this cool calculator that you can like guesstimate or estimate what your legal fees are going to be based on the statutory fee application in Missouri. And it's a cool custom coded JavaScript thing that no other website is going to have unless they're hiring expensive developers and stuff. Replicate it off of WordPress. Yeah, you can. Kevin, if you're migrating from an existing website, there are definitely things you got to be careful about though, because like if you have like existing built up SEO and traffic, like I would not recommend just like overnight, like dumping your whole website into a new thing unless you know what you're doing. You got to make sure you have like 301 redirects and everything set up correctly. It can get spicy if you're migrating like a large traffic existing site. It's doable 100%, but the risk of screwing up is higher. So, do with that as you will. But I would venture to suggest that most law firms outside of PI do not have a very well optimized website to begin with, unless you're larger, spending money on SEO. But if you're a solo, 2, 3, 4, 5 person law firm, my suspicion is you're not spending a lot on SEO. You may be able to improve with a little more than talking to Claude Code.
And the crazy part, so like for so long, we've been talking about the Google algorithm in terms of ranking our website. Now people are asking like, hey, how do I rank for Claude, ChatGPT responses, etc.? You can actually go to it and say, hey, look, I am Jordan Ostroff. I have jordanostroff.com. I, do Lawmatics consulting and coaching. Can you see from me? What can I do for you to recommend me? Like you can have conversations with basically the algorithm that is answering questions for people and then do it. And when it comes to the website, hey, what are some blog posts that you're not certain about answers for that we could write so that you would, reference this, that you would recommend us, that you would send people this way. You'll get slightly different answers when you frame the question that way.
Here's the cool, like one of the most impressive things that I have gotten the model to do since I migrated all of our systems onto custom code. So we have a custom coded website. And what I had it do is I said, hey, Claude, I need you to be able to see my Google Analytics account. I need you to be able to see my Google Search Console account and like how we're showing up in Google search results. I also want you to be able to see my Google Ads account and my Meta Ads account. And so that you can, hook up our conversions and stuff for me, because I don't want to deal with that stuff anymore. I just want you to hook all that up for me. But I also want you to be able to understand how our website is performing and give me recommendations on content. And so I said, I need you to build yourself some tools so that you can access our accounts. And it said, all right, no problem. It, wrote itself CLIs or command line interfaces. It wrote itself its own applications to be able to access our Google Ads, Google Analytics, Meta Ads, Google Search Console accounts. And all I had to do was give it an API key for each one so that it could access. And now it has the ability to pull live data about how our website is performing from those 4 different platforms. Okay. And so the other day, it was a couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, I want you to use all these tools that you built, analyze our website very carefully. I want you to know what was happening is some of our pages were tanking in traffic. I was like, figure out why this is happening and suggest some new topics that we should be writing on based on your Google search results that you found. Oh, I also gave it a keyword planner thing from Google Ads so it can search keywords and stuff. So it like pulls from all these 5 tools, examined every single page on our website, what the traffic was 30 days ago, what is it today, yada, yada, yada. And it came back with this comprehensive plan. All right, we're going to be doing a lot more cross-linking between all your pages. I identified these 5 areas where people are searching for stuff that you're not developing a particular page for. You need to write these 5 pages, whatever. And I was like, all right, go ahead, put an agent team together and build it all out. And in like 30 minutes, it had built out a bunch of new pages responsive to all this like analytics data that it had found and, cross-linked like 47 different blogs to each other. So now we got tons more cross-linking and like network activity throughout the website, all kinds of stuff.
And all of this was also including Google keyword data. So like Google knows what people are searching for. Mm-hmm. So incorporating what everybody's looking for into Dan's actual site to link those up from there. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the interlinking of the websites and other things to increase your traffic.
Right. And I mean, I'm not like a search engine SEO master. I have just learned how to do these things by just messing with Claude and, maintaining my own website. But like it didn't, but it's just remarkable what you can do now without having to shell out thousands a month to, and I'm sure there are things that a pro SEO could do to like make our website better. I have no doubt that that's true. But imagine this kind of tooling in the hands of a pro SEO who knows what they're doing and knows how to get into your website and like audit all this stuff and deploy stuff at a high level fast. So,
well, and from a marketing standpoint, hey, look, we're running your ads. These are the results they're getting. AI is automatically creating this. We're going to sit down and interview your clients to figure out more information to get it back into the AI. Mm-hmm. And then like the next step of a lot of this is agentic AI. So it's having that agent know, okay, these 4 ads, this is the results we get from them. So let's put more money into ad 3 and then let's tweak the language of ad 1 and then, and then circling all the information back through the website and ultimately through a CRM into who hires and having AI do all of this. Like just you tell it what your big picture vision is and it's going to knock out all the little things in between.
Yeah, the thing I have not experimented with yet, and probably will at some point, is the kind of flywheel recursive improvement systems that like Andre Karpathy has written a lot about this. He's a major AI guy. I think he used to work at OpenAI and stuff. But he invented this system called the auto research method, where the model basically you give it a benchmark, like a number, like click open rate on emails or something. And then you give it the tools to create the email and run iterative tests, and then the ability to pull the data in on performance. And basically it just runs in a loop. And if the performance on an email or a web traffic on a page or whatever improves, then it keeps the changes that it made. If it decreases, then it disregards it rolls the changes back to what it was before. And basically it just kind of ratchets the improvement of anything that has a numeric trackable value. It can run on a loop and just infinitely improve that thing, at least up until it reaches whatever the theoretical capacity of it is. But crazy stuff that you can do with like looping agents. But
does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So like in essence, if it sends out a newsletter to 5 people and this subject line gets better results, and then it works it in there, and then it works, and then keeps going across time.
Yeah, that's advanced stuff though. Most people are not going to be getting into that kind of thing. But
until 3 weeks when it becomes native to Claude code. I mean, like the speed of this stuff is insane.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, a lot of cool things have been coming out. Like, other things that you should be aware of. Big thing that came out last week in CoWork. It now has a dashboarding system. They call it Live Artifacts. I have not used this yet, but I know that it exists now. It's called Live Artifacts, where you can actually ask Claude CoWork and go, hey, I want to be able to dashboard data from our Clio system. I want to see, what are our outstanding invoice, what's our, lead close velocity rate, or whatever it is that you want to have a KPI on. You can just tell it that you're doing that, and it will build the integration, and using your connectors, it will build you a dashboard that is persistent, and you can log in and check it every day, that lives inside of Claude CoWork. And it can show you your little, pie charts and bar graphs and stuff like that. And it's pulling that data live every day through your connected connectors to your system. So like tools like Google Looker Studio and all these like BI dashboarding stuff. Name not available. Does it work in Lawmatics? Yes, it can. It doesn't. I haven't tried that. I built our own dashboard using Claude Code. Another awesome use of Claude Code. Amy McGarry saying Rachel built the dashboard and artifacts for financials and for intake, and is amazing. Very cool. Yeah. So like what I did with Lawmatics is I had Claude Code build us a dashboard that integrates with Lawmatics and pulls all that data out, which is awesome. I don't want to show you because there's a lot of proprietary stuff in there, but it is so cool. It has like marketing data with like trend lines and like benchmark data and all kinds of stuff that you cannot do in Lawmatics natively.
And the benefit of AI for this is twofold. It's look, here is the data, and then it's what to do with the data as 2 separate things. And so it's like, hey, look, collect all these things, and here's my analytics, and here's this. Okay, great. I want more of these types of cases. I want to be 20% more profitable. I want to, what can I raise my rates to? Like when you give it that overarching goal, it's going to say, hey, let's drop these ads because those clients are the lower value cases. Let's add this over here. Let's change this over here. It's wild to me, the collection of the data and then its own ability to utilize that better.
Yeah, because I built it at a time where we were having a down month, and I was worried. I was like, why are things slowing down? Like, why are we not getting as many leads this week or this month? And I thought I was like, is this, I'm panicking. I'm like, are we going, is the firm over? Is it all over? Are we going lights out? And I went over to Lawmatics or to Claude Code, and I was like, we need to program up a dashboard so I can see this stuff over time. Because I'm very myopic. I don't see things far in the future or in the past. I don't trends and stuff. I'm a very living with what's in front of me type of person. And so I was able to get it to pull like all of our, to your point, Jordan, all that data is there. It's just you can't visualize it in an easy way without custom tools. And now we're able to see like our revenue velocity broken out by month, year, week. How much revenue is expected to be coming in, projected out a year from now as to where it's going to be landing, where all of our marketing sources, are they trending up? Are they trending down? Which ones are trending in which direction? With regression lines. So we know that if the line is flat, everything's about even. If the line is tipping up, that means we know that it's improving. Even if there's downward spikes between months, we know that the trend line is still directionally good. And that line makes me feel so much better every day, because I can just look at that line and be like, we are directionally still trending up. That I am happy now. And that kind of stuff is awesome. And very easy to do in Claude Code. Just
Janet
at Cal Probate was curious if you're interested. Can you send the prompt pack for the Lawmatic stuff? Because you said you couldn't show us.
So it's not really a prompt pack. It's just kind of rambling back and forth with Claude code until I get what I want. And letting it come up with creative ideas too, based on the data. So the tricky part with Lawmatics is getting to authenticate the connection. You have to message Lawmatics and say, I want to access the developer account thingy. And then in Lawmatics, you go to settings, developer, and then you have to create an app, which is the creation of the authentication to your desktop tool that you're building. You just create an app, type in a random name and a placeholder URL like 123.com or whatever. And that will give you a client ID and a client secret. If this is on recording, hopefully Claude or Gemini will extract some of these. You just give the ID keys to Claude Code, give Claude Code the Lawmatics API documentation, go online, Google API documentation for Lawmatics, and give all that to Claude Code, and it will learn how to do the connection. It's now that I'm saying it out loud, it's a little more technical than I'm giving it credit for. It's very easy.
But once all that technical stuff is done, you have a really nice picture of.
I could do it in I could do it in like 5 minutes, but I understand like not everybody knows all the steps you got to take. But anyway, it's very cool the stuff you can do.
Rachel, I was curious if you could reply to Matt's comment in the chat because you know artifacts better than we do. In regards to prompting it like code, CoWork, and chat or something different. Okay, cool. There we go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Claude Design came out last week too, which is just this beautiful design suite that's going to crush Figma. That lets you it lets it kind of brainstorm these beautiful visual interfaces for websites or apps or email campaigns or whatever it is that you need to look at something that looks pretty in a digital format, and you can like click a button or slides, PowerPoint slides. Like it can create these, or movies. It can create video, like several minute long videos of just like graphics and animations and beautiful stuff. And then you can tell it like send this over to Claude Code, and it will just kick it over to Claude Code, and then Claude writes the app, and it looks like what you imagined. It is. They're eating everyone right now. They're trying to eat everyone.
So I did a 4-part series at the St. Mary's, the local law school here in San Antonio. And one of the sections was on how to use it to be a better student. And I was like, hey, if you're stuck on a case, what's the holding of this case? I don't remember the name. Give that to Nano Banana, give it to the video, Sora, whatever it is, and tell it like make you a funny video. And so there's a tire flying off of a car and then having it land in the state for subject matter jurisdiction for Kumo Tire and stuff. Like it created these crazy like 3-second videos to tie all this stuff together. And so same thing, like if you're studying for the board certification exam, if you're going through, if there's something you're stuck on, if you're learning a new language, you can actually have this design a video that ties some of the words together, some of the holdings, some of the things you need to remember. Like there's a really great opportunity for learning faster than you've ever learned before with AI, putting it in the format that sticks for you the most.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very cool stuff. So one thing I wanted to just kind of recap on before we wrap is, so there are three main ways to think about using Claude. You've got your Claude chat, and I'll pull this up just so there's kind of a little bit more coherent takeaway beside my rambling. Chat, CoWork, and code. Chat is where you go to think. It's where you go to ask questions. It's where you go to do stuff in the cloud. You don't need to write software. You're not running any scripts or anything like that. You're just chatting, researching. You are connecting. You can connect using your skills and connectors. Claude Chat can still use your skills and connectors. And if you have connectors to your case management and you have skills defining how you do things, it can, even Claude Chat can, go into your Clio account and pull the most recent matters that haven't been touched in 30 days or something like that. Like it can do that stuff. You just have to have the connectors set. And again, the easiest way to set all those up if they don't have a native connector is with a make.com account. Okay. Look at what their native connectors are though, because they're pretty cool. But again, remember, don't overload these or you will burn out all of your tokens. Skills, remember, ramble, tell the process in detail, and then work back and forth with it. Like if it executes a skill process and then the result sucks, tell it, I don't like the output. You did this wrong. This little piece was wrong. Fix the skill. Update the skill based on what I just told you. And that's how it recursively learns and gets better over time, is by you critiquing it and saying, this output is good, but there are 3 little pieces here that you messed up. Make sure that you fix that and then update the skill so you don't make that same mistake again. Okay? That's how these skills become more and more powerful. And if you're in a Teams plan, which is 5 users and above, you can deploy these across the whole organization, right? So it becomes like managed skills. Skills and connectors are the most important parts of your AI account in getting it to do stuff, right? CoWork, more powerful than chat, lives in your desktop, can take action on your computer in your file system. So if you have like Google Drive Desktop Sync or OneDrive Desktop Sync and your client files are synced there, you can give it a particular folder and it can work in that folder, generating documents, reviewing PDFs, reviewing stuff, consolidating, file formatting, extracting information, yada, yada, yada. Writing a brief, like let's say you want to write an MSJ and you're like, all the medical records are in this folder, all the crash report information is in this folder. I need you to review all this and put together a demand letter using our demand letter skill. Well, Claude CoWork can go read those folders, pull all the information in, and then write the demand letter for you. Make sense? Then code is where it gets techie. So that's where you're building stuff. Maybe you want to build a website. Maybe you want to, update the Google Analytics, or maybe you want to write an automation or build tools for your other agents. Like maybe you want to build cool tools and connectors and you don't want to use Make because you want to build this cool tool that'll fetch, 5 different things at once and give it to the model in a daily briefing so that it can give you a synopsis or something. You can use Claude Code to build whatever you want, dashboards, all kinds of stuff. And for me, I'm writing actual software. Like I'm writing a whole case management software using Claude Code that we're going to use in production in our firm that is going to replace our existing system. You could do that too. A little bit more technical. Got to be careful. Got to know what you're doing so that you don't end up like exposing security problems. But that is how powerful Claude Code is. You can write a whole freaking application if you want to. So that's kind of the takeaways that I want you guys to get. Don't be afraid of AI. Don't be afraid of desktop agents. They're very powerful, but like people will try to scare you. They're not as risky as people like make them out to be. As long as you're not doing anything stupid, just don't do stupid stuff. If you're not sure what counts as stupid,
there we go. Let's put that on a shirt. Don't do stupid stuff.
If you're not sure what counts as stupid, Google. There's a really nice webpage. It's just how to work with. If you just Google how to work with Claude CoWork securely, you just Google that. The top hit is going to be use Claude CoWork safely, right? Anthropic has put together a short blog post explaining how to use Claude CoWork without, causing problems for yourself. It's very short, very simple, easy to understand, non-technical. It's written for service, non-technical service work people, professional work people.
And you could put the website in a Claude and have it explain to you even more simply.
There you go. You could do that too.
Stacy Cormican had a great question. Is there anywhere we can learn how to do all this? Are you planning anything? Is there anything coming up?
Is there anywhere you can learn to do all this?
Shout out to Rachel Huff. I believe is going to be announcing a 2-day AI thing coming up.
Yeah, Rachel might be teaching people. I teach people in the Facebook group. I need to, at some point I would like to do like more deep dive on like how to deploy an app from start to finish or a website. Because it's like not that complicated. Like there, if you have a Railway account, which is just that cloud host, you just tell Claude like, I need you to connect yourself to my Railway account. How do you do that? And then it's going to go out and find, you just install the command line interface and I can connect your Railway account.
But is there an opportunity for us to just do like open office hours building? Like what you just said, I get you're saying how easy it is, but I think if we all got together for 15 minutes in a Google Meet or a Zoom or something like that and just did it and saw it, I think that would be the way to get the comfort level.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. That kind of thing would be fine. Yeah, doing something like that. I think Rachel's putting together some educational content stuff. I look, other people to follow too. definitely be following Rachel. She's in this chat. Rachel Huff. She used to be Rachel McGarry. She got married. Congratulations. Carolyn Elephant is phenomenal to follow as well. She's like pushing the envelope on cool stuff you can do with Claude CoWork and Claude Chat. Like she's always like coming up with creative uses, especially in like the litigation context. I don't litigate, so I'm not as exposed to it as other people are.
But she had it read like 50 or 100 different, I think it was wills or trusts or something like that. And it created a self-created template from reading through so many of them. And like, I know we've seen this in the past. Like I had this bot watch every episode of The Office and here's what it came up with and it's funny. No, now it's doing it for real. Like now it's doing it and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question, Stacy. So Rachel, if you'll drop your info in the chat.
Yeah, I would say join Legal Tech Collective Facebook group. If I'm sure at least a handful of you on here are getting super nerdy into this stuff. I know Jeremy Baker, it sounds like is. You got to get on X. X is where the developers are talking about this stuff, and they are like light years ahead of everybody else. And like, so anything that's awesome and like cutting edge that's happening in AI is coming out on X first, where the developers are talking about like local models and what they're doing, the crazy stuff that's going on in software development that will eventually trickle down to the rest of the economy because it's so powerful. There's a lot of stuff going on there, but there's probably I think there's a lot of stuff on YouTube too. If you just want to learn how to like vibe code apps or vibe code a website and get it up, I guarantee you there's 50 different influencers who've been trying to teach people how to do it on YouTube. But for me, it's just experimentation and playing. I just play all day long in Claude code.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, listen, we can, it really is sitting down and just talking to it. I mean, like, this is what I want. Show me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. Troubleshoot it with me. I get that sounds overwhelming. So maybe it's finding a buddy. Maybe it's coming together with this. There will be more events coming up. I'll cajole Dan into more open building type stuff like this.
I mean, I didn't know any of this stuff when I started. I'm an attorney. I had no technical background whatsoever until I started a law firm, and really didn't do anything beyond that for like a couple of years. I just played in Lawmatics and their automation. I was like, I send out an email automatically at this stage, but like, just keep going, keep talking to AI, keep fiddling. Don't be afraid of like trying to put something together. Like if you want a thing to happen automatically, just figure out how to do it. You can figure it out. You're smart. You got through law school.
And it gets easier all the time. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, it does. It's almost frustrating because like I feel like I learned so much about like make.com automation and like got really, really good at that. And now I feel like a lot of that is still valuable, sort of, but like I could just tell Claude to do a lot of that stuff now.
Right. Well, but you understand it enough to know that you're getting the right thing and then push it for the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Stacy. You don't have to be that smart to make it through law school. So, but we're here, and until AI rises up and becomes Skynet and takes all of us out, let's grow our firms and have better lives. And thank you to the, 50 something people that joined us. And then I know there was another dozens of people signed up who'll get the recording, and you all will have the recording. So let's go out and make things and help people and access to justice and be better lawyers and live better lives.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jordan. Thanks for coming to hang out, everybody.